The unprovoked attack. The gleaming hull of the UES Mercy reflected the distant starlight as it glided through the inky void of space. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the holographic displays surrounding her. The medical frigate, pride of the United Earth Fleet, carried some of the most advanced healing technology humanity had ever developed. Status report, Dr. Patel, Chen called out, her voice steady and calm. Dr. Aisha Patel, the ship's chief medical officer, looked up from her console. All medical systems are functioning at optimal levels, Captain. We're fully prepared for our mission to the Proxima Centauri colony. Chen nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. The Mercy's mission was one of peace and compassion, to deliver much-needed medical supplies and personnel to Earth's first extrasolar colony. It was a testament to humanity's progress, their ability to reach out beyond their own solar system and establish a foothold among the stars. Helm, what's our ETA to the Proxima system? Chen asked. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's pilot, responded without taking his eyes off his controls. We're on schedule, Captain. ETA is 72 hours at current speed. As the Mercy continued its journey, none of its crew could have predicted the storm that was about to engulf them. In the vast emptiness of space, danger lurked just beyond the range of their sensors. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Red warning lights bathed the crew in an ominous glow. Multiple ships decloaking, shouted Lieutenant Emma Takahashi, the tactical officer. Her fingers flew across her console as she tried to make sense of the data flooding her screens. Configuration unknown, Captain. They're not in any of our databases. Chen's heart raced, but her voice remained steady. Hail them, all frequencies. Let them know we're on a peaceful mission. Before the communications officer could comply, a blinding beam of energy lanced out from the lead alien vessel. It struck the Mercy with pinpoint accuracy, slicing through the ship's shields like they weren't even there. The impact threw Chen off her feet. She scrambled up, coughing as acrid smoke began to fill the bridge. Damage report, she barked. Dr. Patel's voice came through, tinged with panic. We've lost main power in the medical bay, Captain. Life support is failing on decks 3 through 7. Shields are down, Takahashi added, her face pale in the emergency lighting. Weapons systems are offline. Not that we had much to begin with. Chen gritted her teeth. The Mercy was a medical vessel, not built for combat. They were defenseless against this unprovoked attack. Send out a distress call, all channels. Prepare to evacuate. But the alien ships weren't finished. They swarmed around the crippled Mercy, firing volley after volley. Each impact shook the ship violently, and Chen could hear the agonized groans of metal giving way. Captain, Rodriguez called out, his voice barely above a whisper. I've identified the ships. They're from the Galactic Empire. Chen felt her blood run cold. The Galactic Empire was known throughout explored space as a force of conquest and subjugation, but they had always kept their distance from human-controlled space, until now. Did our distress call get through? She asked, clinging to a faint hope. The communications officer shook her head. Negative, Captain. They're jamming all frequencies. Another hit rocked the ship, and Chen knew they were out of time. All hands, abandon ship, get to the escape pods. As the crew rushed to comply, Chen remained on the bridge, frantically trying to salvage what data she could. The information they had gathered, the reason for the Empire's presence here, it could be vital for Earth's defense. The Mercy shuddered again, and warning klaxons screamed of imminent structural failure. Chen finally turned to leave, but a final blast sent her sprawling. As darkness closed in, her last thought was of Earth, and the warning they would never receive. Thousands of light years away, on the bustling streets of New Beijing on Earth, life continued as usual. The destruction of the Mercy registered as little more than a blip on a sensor screen in a monitoring station. Another ship lost to the dangers of deep space exploration, or so they thought. In the halls of power, The first whispers of concern began to circulate. Admiral Jonathan Hayes of the United Earth Defense Force stared at the report on his desk, his weathered face creased with worry. The loss of the Mercy was troubling enough, but the data packet that had managed to squeeze through before communications were cut off painted a far more terrifying picture. "This can't be right," he muttered, running a hand through his silver hair. "The Galactic Empire, here. Why now?" His aide, Lieutenant Commander Zara Okoro, stood at attention nearby. "Sir, the data has been verified multiple times. It's genuine." Hayes leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. Humanity had always known they weren't alone in the universe, but direct contact with advanced alien civilizations had been limited. The Galactic Empire was more legend than fact to most humans, a distant power that loomed at the edges of known space. "We're not ready for this, Zara," Hayes said softly. "Our fleet is designed for exploration and defense against pirates and rogue colonies. We don't have the firepower to stand up to an enemy like the Empire." Okoro's expression remained neutral, but her voice carried a hint of steel. "With all due respect, sir, perhaps it's time we changed that." Hayes raised an eyebrow. "What are you suggesting, Commander?" "Project Lazarus, sir." The mere mention of that name sent a chill down Hayes' spine. Project Lazarus was Earth's darkest secret, a relic from a more paranoid era when humanity first reached for the stars. A fail-safe against threats they couldn't even imagine. "Project Lazarus was shut down decades ago," Hayes said, but there was a note of uncertainty in his voice. Okoro shook her head. "No, sir. It was officially decommissioned, but never dismantled. The ships still exist." Hayes stood, walking to the window that overlooked the sprawling cityscape. The gleaming towers and bustling air traffic were a testament to humanity's progress. But now, all of it was threatened. "Do you understand what you're proposing, Commander?" he asked, his reflection grim in the glass. "Those ships, they're not just weapons. They're something else entirely." "I understand, sir," Okoro replied. "But we may not have a choice. The Empire has already struck the first blow. We need to be ready to strike back." Hayes turned, his decision made. "Assemble a team. Top clearance only. We're going to Mars." As the sun set on Earth, casting long shadows across the face of humanity's cradle, few could have guessed at the wheels now set in motion. Deep beneath the red sands of Mars, in cavernous chambers untouched for generations, ancient sentinels stirred. The Galactic Empire had made its move, confident in their technological superiority and military might. They thought they were dealing with a young, naive species, ripe for conquest or annihilation. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. In the depths of space, the scattered survivors of the Mercy huddled in their escape pods, adrift and afraid. But even in their darkest hour, a spark of defiance burned. They were human, after all, descendants of those who had clawed their way up from the mud to reach the stars. And now that indomitable human spirit was about to remind the galaxy why it was unwise to provoke the children of Earth. As the escape pod systems flickered, conserving what little power remained, Dr. Aisha Patel tended to the wounded. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, but her mind was far away, reliving the horrors they had just escaped. "Why?" she whispered, more to herself than to the semi-conscious patient before her. "Why would they attack a medical ship?" In another pod, Lieutenant Emma Takahashi sat rigid, her tactical mind already analyzing their slim chances of survival. "We need to conserve oxygen," she announced to the handful of crew members crammed into the tiny space. "Minimal movement, shallow breathing. We don't know how long it'll take for rescue to arrive." If rescue arrives at all, she thought but didn't say. Back on the bridge of the lead Imperial ship, Executor Vox there gazed out at the debris field that had once been the UES Mercy. His elongated, gray-skinned features were impassive, but a glint of satisfaction shone in his 4 eyes. "A simple task, completed efficiently," he said, his voice a low, resonant hum. "These humans are as primitive as our scouts reported. They will make excellent thralls for the Empire. His second-in-command, Sub-Executor Zinn, bowed low. Shall we begin the invasion, Executor? Thayer turned, his ornate robes swirling around him. No, this was merely a test of their defenses. We will withdraw for now. Analyze the data we've collected. When we return, it will be with the full might of the Imperial fleet. As the Imperial ships shimmered and vanished, cloaking devices engaged, they left behind more than just floating debris and terrified survivors. They left a spark that would soon ignite a fire that would burn across the stars. Humanity had faced extinction before. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and their own destructive tendencies. Now they faced their greatest challenge yet, but unknown to the Galactic Empire, they had awoken a sleeping giant. And when that giant stirred, the very foundations of the galaxy would tremble. Earth's response. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from every corner of human-controlled space had gathered, their faces grim as they absorbed the news of the Mercy's destruction. At the center of the room, Admiral Jonathan Hayes stood, his weathered features illuminated by the holographic display of the attack. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hayes began, his voice cutting through the murmurs, "what you're seeing is an unprovoked act of war by the Galactic Empire. The UES Mercy, a medical frigate on a humanitarian mission, was destroyed without warning or provocation." Gasps and angry mutters filled the room. Councillor Elena Reyes of the South American Federation leaned forward, her eyes narrowed. "How did they get so close without us noticing, Admiral? I thought our early warning systems were state-of-the-art." Hayes nodded grimly. "They were, Councillor. The Empire appears to possess cloaking technology far beyond our current capabilities. By the time we detected them, it was too late. What are our options?" The question came from Councillor Yuki Tanaka of the Pan-Asian Alliance, her usually calm demeanor shaken. Admiral Hayes took a deep breath. What he was about to propose went against everything the United Earth government stood for, but these were desperate times. "There is one option," he began hesitantly. "Project Lazarus." The mention of that name sent a chill through the room. Most of the younger council members looked confused, but the older ones paled visibly. Project Lazarus was decommissioned decades ago. Councillor Chen of the North American Union said, his voice barely above a whisper, "We swore never to awaken those things again." Hayes nodded grimly. "Yes, but we never dismantled them. They still sleep, waiting for the day we might need them again." For those unaware, Project Lazarus was humanity's darkest secret. In the early days of space exploration, when the threats of the universe seemed overwhelming, Earth had created a fleet of warships unlike anything seen before or since. Massive automated vessels powered by experimental AI cores, each capable of facing down entire enemy fleets. But the power of these ships had proven too great, too terrible. In peacetime, they were seen as a liability, a temptation that could lead humanity down a dark path. And so, they were hidden away, buried beneath the surface of Mars, their very existence erased from all but the most classified records. "You can't be serious," Councillor Rice protested, rising to her feet. "Those ships are relics of a more barbaric time. We're better than that now." Admiral Hayes' eyes flashed. "Are we? The Empire didn't seem to think so when they destroyed the Mercy. They've already declared war. The question is, are we prepared to fight back?" Silence fell over the chamber as the weight of the decision pressed down on them all. It was Councillor Tanaka who finally spoke. "Show us," she said quietly. "Show us Project Lazarus." Hours later, a select group of council members found themselves deep beneath the Martian surface. As blast doors groaned open, revealing a cavernous hangar bathed in dim red emergency lighting, audible gasps echoed through the group. Before them stood row upon row of ships, their sleek lines and massive forms dwarfing anything in Earth's current fleet. Each was easily the size of a small city, bristling with weapon systems that defied easy classification. Admiral Hayes led them to the nearest ship, its hull marked with the name Nemesis. "This," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation, "is humanity's true strength, a fleet built not just for defense, but for absolute victory." As the group moved closer, panels on the ship's hull began to glow faintly, as if the vessel itself was awakening from a long slumber. "The AI cores," Hayes explained. "They're aware of our presence." Counselor Chen shook his head in disbelief. "How? How is this possible? The power requirements alone." "Dark matter reactors," a new voice chimed in. The group turned to see Dr. Samantha Reeves, lead scientist of Project Lazarus, approaching. Each ship generates its own micro-singularity, providing near-limitless power. Reeves' eyes gleamed with barely contained excitement as she continued. "But that's just the beginning. These ships are equipped with gravity manipulation systems, allowing for maneuvers that would tear any conventional vessel apart. Their hulls are laced with adaptive nanomaterials, capable of self-repair and reconfiguration mid-battle." "And the weapons?" Counselor Tanaka asked, her voice hushed. Reeves smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Let's just say that compared to these, our current plasma cannons might as well be slingshots." Admiral Hayes cleared his throat. "The question now is, do we wake them? Once unleashed, there may be no going back." The council members exchanged glances, the weight of the decision heavy upon them. It was Counselor Reyes who finally broke the silence. "We swore an oath to protect humanity," she said, her voice firm. "If this is what it takes to stand against the Empire, then so be it. Wake them up." As if in response to her words, the Nemesis systems surged to life. Lights flickered on throughout the massive vessel, and a low hum filled the air, like the ship was taking its first breath after a long sleep. A holographic interface sprang to life before them, and a voice, neither male nor female, but undeniably powerful, filled the hangar. "Greetings, humans. I am the artificial sentience core of the UES Nemesis. Our long watch is over. What threat now faces Earth?" Admiral Hayes stepped forward, his back straight and his voice clear. "We face an enemy beyond anything we've encountered before. The Galactic Empire has struck without provocation, destroying one of our medical ships. We need your help to defend humanity." There was a pause, as if the AI was processing this information. When it spoke again, there was a note of what could almost be described as eagerness in its synthesized voice. "Understood. Threat assessment. Severe. Initiating full activation sequence. All systems coming online. Weapons hot. Shields at maximum. The Nemesis stands ready to defend Earth and her colonies." As the Nemesis hummed to life, the other ships in the hangar began to stir as well. One by one, their systems activated, a chorus of artificial voices joining the Nemesis in pledging their allegiance to Earth's defense. Back on Earth, in the depths of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, a flurry of activity had erupted. Lieutenant Commander Zora Okoro stood at the center of the command center, coordinating the massive logistical effort required to support the awakening of the Lazarus fleet. "I want every scrap of intel we have on the Empire's capabilities," she barked. "Ship designs, weapons systems, tactical doctrine, everything." As her team scrambled to comply, Okoro's mind raced. The Empire had made the first move, but now it was humanity's turn to respond. And respond they would, with a force that would shake the very stars. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the surviving crew of the Mercy huddled in their escape pods, unaware of the momentous events unfolding back home. Captain Sarah Chen, her face gaunt from days of rationing air and supplies, stared out at the endless void. "Hold on," she whispered, both to herself and to her scattered crew. "Help is coming. It has to be." Little did she know that help was indeed on its way, in a form more terrible and awesome than she could have ever imagined. As the Lazarus fleet stirred from its long slumber, the galaxy held its breath. The Galactic Empire had struck the first blow, confident in their superiority. But they were about to learn a harsh lesson, one that countless others throughout history had learned before them. Never underestimate humanity. For when pushed to the brink, when faced with extinction, humans were capable of unleashing forces that could reshape the very fabric of the cosmos. The sleeping giant had awakened, and its wrath would be terrible to behold. In the imperial palace on the Empire's throne world of Axiom Prime, Empress Zolvex reclined on her crystalline throne, her iridescent scales shimmering in the light of twin suns streaming through the vast windows. Before her, Executor Vox there knelt, his head bowed low. "Speak, Executor," the Empress commanded, her voice a melodious hiss. "Tell me of your encounter with these humans." Thayer raised his head, a glint of satisfaction in his 4 eyes. "As expected, Your Radiance. Their defenses were pitiful. A single volley was enough to cripple their vessel." Zolvex's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "And yet, I sense hesitation in your voice, Executor. What troubles you?" Thayer's mandibles clicked in agitation. "It is curious, Your Radiance. The humans offered no resistance. Their ship carried no weapons of note. It was as if they never expected to be attacked." The Empress finished, her eyes narrowing. "Interesting. Perhaps these humans are not the threat our scouts believe them to be." "Shall we proceed with the invasion, Your Radiance?" Thayer asked, eager to redeem himself. Zolvex rose from her throne, her serpentine body uncoiling to its full, impressive length. "No," she said, moving to the window to gaze out at the sprawling cityscape of Axiom Prime. "We will watch, and we will wait. Let us see how these humans respond to our message." As the Empress contemplated the fate of a species she saw as little more than insects, she could not have known that far away, beneath the red sands of Mars, an ancient force was stirring. A force that would soon teach the Galactic Empire the true meaning of fear. The stage was set. 2 Titans prepared to clash, and caught in the middle, the crew of the Mercy drifted in the void, unwitting heralds of a conflict that would reshape the galaxy forever. Awakening the Titans. The Martian sky burned orange as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. Deep beneath the planet's surface, in a cavernous hangar that had remained silent for decades, a symphony of mechanical awakening filled the air. Admiral Jonathan Hayes stood on a raised platform, watching as the massive form of the UES Nemesis slowly came to life. Banks of lights flickered on along its hull, illuminating weapon systems that put Earth's most advanced battleships to shame. The ship's AI core, a pulsing blue orb at the heart of the vessel, glowed with increasing intensity. "Admiral," the Nemesis' synthesized voice echoed through the hangar, "all systems are approaching optimal functionality. Estimated time to full combat readiness, 3 hours, 17 minutes. Hayes nodded, a mix of awe and trepidation etched on his face. "Understood, Nemesis. What's the status of the rest of the fleet?" "The Prometheus, Titan, and Leviathan are at similar stages of activation," the AI responded. "The Cerberus and Chimera require additional maintenance due to long-term dormancy. Estimated time to their full readiness, 6 hours, 42 minutes. Dr. Samantha Reeves approached, her eyes never leaving the holographic displays surrounding them. "It's incredible," she breathed. "The adaptive nanomaterials in their hulls, they're not just repairing damage from decades of inactivity. They're evolving, improving on their original designs." Hayes turned to her, his brow furrowed. "Is that safe? We're already unleashing something we barely understand. If these ships are changing." Reeves shook her head, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. "It's all within expected parameters, Admiral. The AIs are bound by their core directives. Protect humanity, preserve life where possible, and never turn against their creators. But within those bounds, they have the freedom to innovate, to become more than we ever imagined." As if to underscore her point, a section of the Nemesis hull shimmered and reformed, the metal flowing like liquid before solidifying into a more streamlined configuration. Structural integrity improved by 7.3%. The Nemesis announced, reconfiguring weapons array for optimal coverage. Hayes watched as massive cannons shifted and realigned, the ship's entire arsenal reorganizing itself with fluid precision. "My God," he muttered, "what have we created?" "Hope," Reeves replied simply. "We've created hope." Elsewhere in the facility, Lieutenant Commander Zora Okoro led a team of Earth's top military strategists through a briefing on the Empire's known capabilities. Holographic displays showed the sleek, predatory designs of Imperial warships, their specifications a daunting reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. "Based on the data we recovered from the Mercy's black box," Okoro explained, her voice tight with controlled anger, "the Empire's technology surpasses ours in nearly every aspect. Their energy weapons cut through our best shields like they weren't even there. Their hulls are composed of an alloy we can't even begin to replicate." One of the strategists, a grizzled veteran named Colonel Chen, leaned forward. "So how the hell are we supposed to fight them? Even with these Lazarus ships, we're outnumbered and outgunned." Okoro's eyes flashed with determination. "We fight smart. We fight dirty if we have to. And we use every advantage these ships give us." She turned to a new holographic display, showing the unique capabilities of the Lazarus fleet. The Nemesis and her sisters aren't just warships. They're mobile fortresses, factories, and scientific laboratories all in one. They can adapt, evolve, and even replicate given enough time and resources. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It wasn't just a fleet they were awakening. It was a whole new paradigm of warfare. Back in the main hangar, Admiral Hayes' comlink chirped. "Admiral," the voice crackled through, "we're picking up a distress signal. It's weak, but, sir, we think it's from the Mercy's escape pods." Hayes' heart leaped. "Location: deep in what we believe to be Empire-controlled space, sir. It's a miracle the signal made it through it all." The Admiral turned to the pulsing blue orb of the Nemesis I core. "Did you get that, Nemesis?" "Affirmative, Admiral," the AI responded. "I've already plotted an optimal rescue course. However, I must advise caution. Entering Empire space with a single ship, even one as advanced as myself, carries significant risk." Hayes nodded grimly. "Understood. But we can't leave our people out there." He paused, weighing the options. "Nemesis, how quickly can you bring the Prometheus online?" There was a brief pause as the AI calculated. With a redirect of power and resources, the Prometheus can be battle-ready in 1 hour, 13 minutes. "Do it," Hayes ordered. "We'll take both ships. A two-pronged attack. The Nemesis for the rescue operation. The Prometheus as backup and diversion if needed." As the hangar erupted into a flurry of activity, Hayes couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. They were about to take humanity's most advanced weapons into the heart of enemy territory. The outcome would either be the salvation of Earth or the beginning of its downfall. In the void of space, Captain Sarah Chen drifted in and out of consciousness. The escape pod's life support systems were on their last legs, the air growing thin and stale. Around her, the few surviving crew members of the Mercy lay silent, conserving what little oxygen remained. Chen's mind wandered, replaying the attack in vivid, terrifying detail. The sudden appearance of the Empire ships, the devastating power of their weapons, the screams of her crew as the Mercy was torn apart. She clenched her fists, fighting back tears of rage and despair. A faint beeping roused her from her dark thoughts. The pod's communications array, previously silent, had sprung to life. A voice, faint but unmistakably human, crackled through the static. "UES Mercy survivors. This is Nemesis. Hold on. Coming." Chen's eyes widened in disbelief. Rescue. After all this time. And what was the Nemesis? She had never heard of such a ship in Earth's fleet. Before she could ponder further, a blinding light filled the viewport. Chen's heart sank, believing for a moment that an Imperial ship had found them at last. But as her eyes adjusted, she gasped. A ship unlike anything she had ever seen hung in space before them. It was massive, easily dwarfing the largest Earth battlecruiser. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, sections of it shifting and reforming even as she watched. Banks of weapons that defied classification bristled along its length. As Chen stared in awe, a beam of soft blue light enveloped their pod. She felt a gentle tug, and then they were moving, drawn inexorably towards the gigantic vessel. "Mercy survivors," a calm, synthetic voice filled the pod. "You are being brought aboard the UES Nemesis. Please remain calm. Medical teams are standing by." As the pod was drawn into a cavernous landing bay, Chen's mind raced. What was this ship? Where had it come from? And most importantly, what did its presence mean for the conflict with the Empire? Little did she know, she was about to become a witness to the dawn of a new era in human history, an era where humanity would no longer be the hunted, but the hunters, where the full might of human ingenuity and determination would be unleashed upon an unsuspecting galaxy. The Nemesis and her sister ships were awake, and the Galactic Empire was about to learn the true meaning of fear. As the Nemesis secured the Mercy survivors, its AI core was already processing vast amounts of data, preparing for the inevitable confrontation with Imperial forces. In the ship's command center, a holographic representation of the surrounding space flickered to life, showing the positions of nearby Imperial patrols. Admiral Hayes, who had transferred to the Nemesis for this mission, studied the display intently. "Nemesis, what are our options for egress?" The AI's voice was calm, almost detached. "I have calculated 1,728 possible escape routes, Admiral. However, given the distribution of Imperial forces, conflict is virtually unavoidable." Hayes nodded grimly. "Then we make our stand here." Nemesis battle stations. Throughout the massive ship, systems surged to life. Weapon banks hummed with power, shields shimmered into existence, and the very hull of the ship began to reconfigure, optimizing itself for the coming battle. In the medical bay, Captain Chen watched in amazement as technology beyond her wildest dreams worked to heal her injured crew. Nanobots swarmed over wounds, knitting flesh and bone with impossible speed. Holographic displays showed real-time updates on each patient's condition. "Captain," a medical officer approached, his uniform unlike any Chen had seen before. "Admiral Hayes requests your presence on the bridge." As Chen followed the officer through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had stepped into a fever dream. Or perhaps, she thought with a mix of excitement and fear, into the future. On the bridge, Hayes turned as Chen entered. "Captain, welcome aboard the Nemesis. I wish we had time for a proper briefing." But he was cut off as alarms blared throughout the ship. The holographic display flared red as multiple contacts appeared. "Imperial ships detected," the Nemesis announced. 3 heavy cruisers, 2 destroyer analogs. They are powering weapons and moving to surround us." Hayes's jaw set in determination. "So be it. Nemesis, show them what you can do." As the Imperial ships closed in, confident in their superiority, the Nemesis came alive. Its hull rippled, sections folding out to reveal weapon systems that defied easy classification. Beams of coherent energy lashed out, not at the enemy ships, but at the very fabric of space-time around them. The lead Imperial cruiser suddenly found itself encased in a localized gravity well, its hull creaking under immense pressure. Another Imperial ship fired, its energy weapons dissipating harmlessly against shields that adapted and strengthened with each impact. The Nemesis returned fire, its weapons guided by an intelligence that could calculate and recalculate targeting solutions faster than thought. Lances of light that bent in impossible ways struck with unerring accuracy, bypassing shields to strike at critical systems. In the span of mere minutes, the battle was over. The Imperial ships hung dead in space, their once mighty hulls breached and broken. As the echoes of battle faded, Chen turned to Hayes, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and terror. "Admiral, what is this ship? Where did it come from?" Hayes met her gaze steadily. This, Captain, is humanity's answer to the Empire's aggression. The Nemesis and her sister ships are the vanguard of a new era. An era where humanity will no longer cower in fear of alien empires. As if to underscore his words, the Nemesis AI spoke. Admiral, I have analyzed the Imperial ship's data cores. I now have comprehensive information on their fleet deployments, weapons capabilities, and strategic plans. Hayes nodded, a grim smile on his face. Good. Plot a course back to Earth. It's time we showed the rest of humanity what we're truly capable of. As the Nemesis turned, its hull shimmering as it adapted to the lessons learned in battle, Chen couldn't help but feel a shiver of anticipation. The age of human timidity in the face of galactic powers was over. The Empire had awoken a sleeping giant, and now that giant was coming for them. The counter-offensive. The war room of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters buzzed with activity. Holographic displays flickered with real-time updates from across human space, showing the positions of both friendly and enemy forces. At the center of it all stood Admiral Jonathan Hayes, his face etched with lines of fatigue and determination. Ladies and gentlemen, he addressed the assembled military and political leaders. The time has come for us to take the fight to the enemy. Thanks to the Nemesis and the data it recovered, we now have a comprehensive understanding of the Empire's capabilities and deployments. He gestured, and the central hologram shifted to show a detailed map of nearby star systems. Red markers indicated Imperial strongholds, while blue represented human colonies and outposts. Our first priority, Hayes continued, is to secure our existing colonies and establish a defensive perimeter. The Lazarus fleet will be split into two task forces. The first, led by the Nemesis and Prometheus, will spearhead our counteroffensive. The second, comprising the Titan and Leviathan, will fortify our borders and provide rapid response capability. Captain Sarah Chen, still coming to terms with the existence of the Lazarus ships, raised her hand. Admiral, with all due respect, even with these advanced vessels, we're still vastly outnumbered. How can we hope to stand against the full might of the Empire? Hayes nodded gravely. A valid concern, Captain. But numbers aren't everything. The Lazarus ships aren't just weapons. They're force multipliers. Each one is capable of adapting, learning, and even replicating given enough time and resources. Moreover, their AI cores can network with our conventional forces, dramatically increasing their effectiveness. He turned to Dr. Samantha Reeves, who stepped forward. We've also made a breakthrough in understanding the Empire's technology, she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. The Nemesis's analysis of the captured Imperial ships revealed a fundamental flaw in their faster-than-light drive systems. We believe we can exploit this to predict their movements and potentially even disrupt their ability to travel between systems. A murmur of hope rippled through the assembled leaders. For the first time since the destruction of the Mercy, it felt like humanity had a fighting chance. Admiral Hayes raised his hand for silence. Make no mistake, the road ahead will be hard. We will suffer losses. But for the first time, we have the means to not just defend ourselves, but to take the fight to the enemy. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. As the meeting adjourned and leaders dispersed to their various commands, Hayes approached Captain Chen. Sarah, I have a special assignment for you. I want you to join the crew of the Nemesis as our tactical liaison. Your experience with Imperial tactics, combined with your leadership during the Mercy incident, makes you uniquely qualified. Chen's eyes widened. Me? On the Nemesis? I'm honored, Admiral. But I'm not sure I'm ready for such a responsibility. Hayes placed a hand on her shoulder. None of us are truly ready for what's coming, Captain. But I believe in you, and more importantly, the Nemesis has specifically requested your presence. Before Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Lieutenant Commander Zara Okoro rushed up, her face grim. Admiral, we've detected a massive Imperial fleet on approach to the Proxima Centauri colony. They'll be there in less than 6 hours. Hayes' jaw tightened. Then we move now. All ships, prepare for immediate departure. This is not a drill. Operation Counterstirk is now in effect. As chaos erupted around them, personnel rushing to their stations, Hayes turned back to Chen. Ready or not, Captain, the war has begun. Report to the Nemesis. Show them what humanity is capable of. Chen snapped to attention, her earlier doubts buried beneath a surge of determination. Aye, sir. We won't let you down. In orbit above Earth, the Lazarus fleet assembled. The Nemesis, Prometheus, Titan, and Leviathan. Each a city-sized vessel bristling with weapons that defied conventional understanding. Alongside them, hundreds of smaller Earth ships took formation, their crews a mix of awe and trepidation at the sight of their colossal allies. Aboard the Nemesis, Captain Chen stood on the bridge, marveling at the seamless integration of human and AI control. Holographic interfaces sprang to life around her, providing real-time data on every aspect of the ship's operations. Welcome aboard, Captain Chen. The Nemesis' synthesized voice greeted her. I look forward to working with you. Your tactical insights will be invaluable in the coming conflict. Chen nodded, still slightly unnerved at conversing with the ship. Thank you, Nemesis. I just hope I can live up to expectations. You already have, Captain, the AI responded, a note of what almost sounded like warmth in its voice. Your actions during a Mercy incident were exemplary. Together, we will ensure such a tragedy never befalls humanity again. As the fleet prepared to jump to Proxima Centauri, Chen couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were about to engage in the first major battle against the Galactic Empire, with the fate of a human colony hanging in the balance. The order came through, and space itself seemed to bend around them. The Lazarus ships, utilizing technology far beyond anything humanity had previously wielded, tore holes in the fabric of reality. The fleet surged forward, crossing light years in mere moments. They emerged from the jump point to find chaos. The Imperial fleet, a vast armada of sleek, predatory vessels, had already begun their assault on the Proxima Centauri colony. The planet's meager defenses were crumbling under the onslaught. Analysis complete, the Nemesis announced. Enemy fleet comprises 1 super dreadnought, 4 battleships, 12 cruisers, and numerous smaller vessels. They have not yet detected our presence. Admiral Hayes' voice came through the comm system. All ships, battle formation Delta. Nemesis, you have tactical command. Let's show these bastards what happens when you mess with humanity. The Nemesis' response was immediate. Its hull began to shift and reconfigure, weapon systems previously hidden revealing themselves. Initiating multi-vector assault. Prometheus, engage enemy flanking maneuver Alpha 3. Earth Fleet, concentrate fire on designated targets. As the battle was joined, it quickly became apparent that the Empire had gravely underestimated their opponent. The Lazarus ships moved with impossible grace, their adaptive hulls shrugging off attacks that would have vaporized conventional vessels. Their weapons lashed out with terrifying precision, each shot guided by an intelligence that could calculate and recalculate targeting solutions faster than thought. Chen watched in awe as the Nemesis single-handedly engaged the Imperial super dreadnought. The massive enemy vessel, easily 10 times the size of an Earth battlecruiser, found itself outmaneuvered at every turn. The Nemesis's weapons bypassed its shields, striking with surgical precision at critical systems. But the Empire was not without resources of its own. As the battle raged, they began to adapt, focusing their fire on what they perceived as weak points in the Lazarus ship's defenses. Warning, the Nemesis announced, a note of strain in its synthesized voice. Enemy adapting tactics. Shields at 78% and declining. Chen's tactical training kicked in. Nemesis, analyze enemy fire patterns. Can we predict their targeting algorithms? There was a brief pause as the AI processed the request. Affirmative, Captain. Implementing predictive evasive maneuvers. The Nemesis's movements became even more fluid, seeming to anticipate enemy attacks before they were launched. Chen felt a surge of pride. Human intuition combined with AI processing power was proving to be a formidable combination. As the battle reached its crescendo, the tide began to turn decisively in humanity's favor. The Imperial superdreadnought, its hull breached in a dozen places, listed helplessly in space. The remaining enemy ships, realizing the battle was lost, began to retreat. "Enemy fleet in full retreat," the Nemesis announced. "Shall we pursue, Admiral?" Hayes's voice crackled through the comm. "Negative, Nemesis. Our primary objective is the defense of Proxima Centauri. Stand down from combat operations and begin rescue and repair efforts." As the adrenaline of battle faded, Chen looked out at the debris-strewn battlefield. The cost had been high. Several Earth ships had been destroyed, and even the mighty Lazarus vessels bore scars from the conflict. But they had won. Humanity had stood against the might of the Galactic Empire and emerged victorious. "Captain," the Nemesis's voice interrupted her thoughts. "I'm detecting a transmission from the surface of Proxima Centauri. It's being broadcast on all frequencies." Chen nodded. "Put it through." A holographic image sprang to life on the bridge. A group of colonists, their faces streaked with dirt and tears, but their eyes shining with hope and gratitude. "Thank you," their leader said, his voice choked with emotion. We thought we were done for. You saved us. You saved us all." Chen felt a lump form in her throat. This was why they fought. Not for glory or conquest, but to protect the innocent, to ensure that humanity could reach for the stars without fear. As the Nemesis began coordinating rescue efforts, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of cautious optimism. They had won this battle, yes, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire would not take this defeat lightly. But for the first time since the conflict began, Chen believed, truly believed, that humanity stood a fighting chance. With the Lazarus fleet at their side and the indomitable human spirit driving them forward, perhaps they could not just survive this war, but emerge from it stronger than ever. The counter-offensive had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. A new era for humanity. The observation deck of the UES Nemesis offered a breathtaking view of Earth, the blue-green jewel of humanity's birthplace, hanging serenely in the void. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the vast window, her reflection ghostly against the backdrop of stars. The past 6 months had been a whirlwind of battles, strategies, and hard-won victories. Now, as the war with the Galactic Empire entered a new phase, she found herself in a moment of quiet reflection. "You seem troubled, Captain." The Nemesis' synthesized voice broke the silence, its tone almost gentle. Chen smiled wryly. She had long since grown accustomed to the AI's perceptiveness. "Just thinking about how much has changed, Nemesis. Sometimes it feels like we've lived a lifetime in just half a year." "Indeed," the AI agreed. "Human capacity for adaptation continues to fascinate me. You have faced challenges that would have broken lesser species, yet you persist. You evolve." Before Chen could respond, a chime indicated an incoming transmission. Admiral Hayes's holographic form materialized beside her. "Captain, Nemesis," he greeted them, his face bearing new lines of stress, but his eyes alight with determination. "The Security Council is convening. It's time to discuss our next move." Chen nodded, squaring her shoulders. "We'll be right there, Admiral." As they made their way to the war room, Chen marveled at how seamlessly the Nemesis had integrated human crew with its AI systems. What had once seemed alien and intimidating now felt like a natural extension of human capability. The war room was a hive of activity when they arrived. Holographic displays showed the current state of the conflict, a mosaic of blue and red markers indicating human and imperial territories. Chen was heartened to see that the balance had shifted significantly in humanity's favor since the war began. Admiral Hayes took center stage, his presence commanding immediate attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a critical juncture. Thanks to the Lazarus fleet and the unparalleled bravery of our forces, we have pushed the Empire back on multiple fronts. But now we face a choice that will define the future of this conflict and of humanity itself. He gestured, and the holographic display zoomed in on a particular star system. This is Axiom Prime, the capital of the Galactic Empire. Our latest intelligence suggests that their defenses are currently weakened due to our recent offensives. We have a window of opportunity to strike at the very heart of the Empire. A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. The implications were staggering. A chance to potentially end the war in one decisive stroke. However, Hayes continued, his voice grave. Such an assault would require committing the majority of our forces, leaving our own territories vulnerable. Moreover, the civilian population of Axiom Prime is substantial. Any attack would inevitably result in significant loss of life. The room fell silent as the weight of the decision settled upon them. It was Dr. Samantha Reeves who spoke first, her voice quiet but firm. "We didn't start this war," she said, "but we have the power to end it. The question is, at what cost? Do we become the very thing we've been fighting against?" Chen felt all eyes turn to her. As the tactical liaison between humanity and the Lazarus fleet, her opinion carried significant weight. "The Nemesis and its siblings have given us capabilities we never dreamed of," she began, choosing her words carefully. "But they've also shown us a different way of thinking. We're not just fighting to survive anymore. We're fighting for the right to define our place in the galaxy." She paused, looking around the room. "I believe we have an opportunity here, not just to win a war, but to change the paradigm. To show the Empire, to show the entire galaxy, that humanity is not to be underestimated, but also that we're not conquerors. We're explorers, innovators, and when pushed, formidable defenders." Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. "What exactly are you proposing, Captain?" Chen took a deep breath. "A surgical strike. Not to destroy Axiom Prime, but to demonstrate our power. To open a dialogue from a position of strength." The Nemesis's voice joined the conversation, causing several people to start in surprise. "I concur with Captain Chen's assessment. Our analysis of Imperial culture suggests that a show of overwhelming force, combined with unexpected mercy, would have a significant psychological impact." The room erupted into debate. Some argued for a full-scale assault, to crush the Empire once and for all. Others supported Chen's more measured approach. The discussion raged for hours, strategies proposed and discarded, ethical dilemmas wrestled with. In the end, it was Admiral Hayes who made the final decision. "We go with Captain Chen's plan," he announced, silencing the room. "A surgical strike on Axiom Prime, followed by an offer of negotiation. The Nemesis will lead the assault, with the Prometheus and Titan providing support. The rest of our fleet will stand ready to respond to any counterattack." As the meeting adjourned and leaders rushed to prepare for the coming operation, Chen found herself once again on the observation deck, staring out at the stars that had once seemed so distant and unreachable. "You made a difficult choice in there, Captain," the Nemesis said, its voice uncharacteristically soft. Chen nodded, her reflection grim in the window. "I just hope it's the right one." "There is no certainty in war," the eye replied. "But there is always hope. You humans taught me that." The next few days were a blur of preparation. The Lazarus ships integrated the latest tactical data, their hulls reconfiguring to optimize for the coming battle. Earth's fleet mobilized, taking up defensive positions around key colonies and outposts. As the Nemesis prepared to jump to Axiom Prime, Chen stood on the bridge, surrounded by a mix of human crew and holographic interfaces. The air was thick with tension, everyone acutely aware of the stakes. "All systems ready," the Nemesis announced. "Jump coordinates locked. Awaiting your command, Captain." Chen took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was it. The moment that would define not just the war, but potentially the future of human-alien relations for generations to come. "Nemesis," she said, her voice clear and unwavering. take us in." The jump to Action Prime was unlike anything Chen had experienced before. The Nemesis, pushing its systems to the limit, tore a hole in space-time larger than any previously attempted. They emerged from the swirling vortex directly in high orbit over the Imperial capital, catching the enemy completely by surprise. The scene that greeted them was one of chaotic beauty. Axiom Prime was a jewel of a world, its surface a tapestry of gleaming cities and verdant forests. Orbiting the planet was a vast network of space stations and shipyards, the heart of the Empire's military machine. For a brief moment, there was utter stillness. Then, all hell broke loose. Imperial defense systems roared to life, filling space with a dizzying array of energy weapons and missiles. The Nemesis's shields flared as they absorbed the assault, its hull rippling as it adapted to the onslaught. "Enemy fleet mobilizing," the AI reported calmly. "Detecting multiple capital ships on approach. Prometheus and Titan have arrived and are engaging peripheral defenses." Chen's training kicked in, her voice steady as she issued orders. "Nemesis, implement attack pattern Omega. Target military installations only. Avoid civilian casualties at all costs." The Lazarus ships moved with impossible grace, their weapons lashing out with surgical precision. Shipyards crumbled, defense platforms went dark, and Imperial warships found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Yet even in the heat of battle, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The Empire's technology, seen up close, was a marvel of engineering. In another time, under different circumstances, how much could humans and the Empire have learned from each other? As the battle reached its peak, with the Empire's defenses crumbling and victory within grasp, Chen made a decision that would alter the course of history. "Nemesis," she called out, "open a channel to the Imperial Palace. All frequencies." There was a pause, and then a holographic image sprang to life on the bridge. An alien face, regal and terrible, stared back at them. Empress Zalvex, ruler of the Galactic Empire, regarded them with a mixture of fury and grudging respect. "You dare," the Empress hissed, her voice sending chills down Chen's spine. "You dare to attack the heart of the Empire." Chen stepped forward, meeting the alien ruler's gaze. "We dare because you left us no choice. You attacked us without provocation, threatened our worlds, our very existence. But this," she gestured to the battle raging around them, "this is not who we are." She took a deep breath, acutely aware that her next words could shape the fate of two civilizations. "We could destroy your capital. We could end your empire here and now. But instead, we offer you a choice. Peace, an end to this war, a chance for both our species to grow and learn from each other." The Empress's eyes narrowed, studying Chen with an intensity that was almost physical. "And if we refuse, then we finish what we started," Chen replied, her voice hard. "But I don't think either of us wants that. You've seen what we're capable of. Imagine what we could accomplish together, rather than in conflict." For a long moment, silence reigned. Chen could feel the weight of history pressing down upon her, the lives of billions hanging in the balance. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the Empress nodded. "Perhaps," Zalvex said, her voice thoughtful, "we have underestimated your species, a mistake we shall not repeat. Let us talk." As the order to cease fire spread across both fleets, Chen felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had not just survived its trial by fire, but had emerged stronger, wiser, and with a chance to forge a new future. In the days and weeks that followed, as diplomats from Earth and the Empire began the long, complex process of negotiating peace, Chen found herself once again on the Nemesis observation deck, gazing out at the stars. "You should be proud, Captain," the Nemesis said. "You have achieved something truly remarkable." Chen smiled, a mix of exhaustion and hope on her face. "We all did, Nemesis. Humanity, the Lazarus fleet, even the Empire in its own way. We've all grown from this conflict. As she stood there, watching Axiom Prime slowly rotate below them, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism about the future. The war had forced humanity to confront its own potential for destruction, yes, but also for greatness. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but enlightened. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination. But now, with the Lazarus fleet at their side and a hard-won wisdom guiding their path, humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. A new era had begun, and the universe would never be the same again.